I'm gonna go ahead and try this on both asphalt as well as carpet. I just peeled off this rubber because it was already starting to peel from here. I just came back in from the asphalt run and the rubber's wearing away all properly like real rubber does. I love it. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Rex. Today we're gonna build and play with this thing. It's a Tamiya M06 chassis, which means it's a rear-mounted motor and rear-wheel drive. Rocking a Jägermeister livery on an Alpine A110 Berlinette. If you don't know what the Alpine A110 is, the blue color version of this car won the first World Rally Championship. And today we're gonna build this 1/10 scale radio-controlled high-performance racing car and then play with it. When you open the box, you find the contents of the box very similar to a model car. Plastic parts on injection molded parts trees. Might look like a daunting task at first, but the instructions honestly break everything down like Lego. The hardest part is going to be cutting all these stickers out and putting it on this body after I painted the inside. Luckily, I've done that 1,000 times, and I like that process. Whoa, let's take a second to appreciate this body for maybe more than a couple seconds. Look at the detail on this. We're gonna get plastic molded pieces to put on here as well. See the bumper, the fog lights. Very nice. Once that's done, it's gonna be gorgeous. Like I said, instructions are just like Lego. They tell you what piece to put in and where and using what tools, what hardware. And if you built it right, it should look something like this, they say. The kit comes with really nice plastic pieces, like this is the inside of the headlight housing. Molded bumper pieces, gotta get painted of course. Comes with foam inserts to go inside the tires to pretend like they're air. This kit also comes with a fairly basic standard motor that's quite good if you're not really looking for extreme speed. I did have other motors lined up for it, but I think we're gonna go ahead and use the stock motor that comes because these are quicker, but I'm not so sure I need them. If you've never built a kit like this before, you're in for a treat. These are kind of like real cars in the terms of suspension and engineering. If you have built something like this before, then you're probably still in for a treat because you probably like building and you get to build one again. Another thing, if you want to actually run your kit as an RC, you're going to need a radio receiver and some sort of remote control transmitter that pairs with that receiver. So I'm going to have to yank one out of my other cars. Usually these kits include what's called a speed control, which controls the variable speed that the motor does. My kit didn't come with one, so I'm going to yank it out of here. One last thing you'll have to provide yourself is this mechanism here, which is called a steering servo. And that's something like this to help steer the car's wheels. Seems like a lot, but it's not too bad considering this kit is $139 Canadian. One special thing I'm going to do is I'm going to toss these suspension system, the shock system, and put these in because the ones that come in the box use only a spring without a shock damper. This set has oil-filled shock dampers that I can use with the springs provided in the kit. So before I build, we've got the kit for $139.99. A speed control is like 40 bucks Canadian. Servo is about 40 bucks Canadian. I already had a radio system, but if I didn't, it'd be about 40 bucks Canadian. I spent extra money on suspension, which was 40 bucks Canadian. You don't have to. And batteries, which luckily I have lots of. But if you don't, you can get them for about 20 bucks Canadian. And if you're new to the hobby, you'll probably want to pick yourself up a charger for another 20 bucks Canadian. I also spent the extra money, like 10 bucks Canadian, to get bearings for the kit because the kit comes with plastic and bronze bushings, not bearings. And you'll probably want those if you're going to play with the car. Bearings make the car roll smoother, helps the battery last longer, all kinds of good things. Alright, as I mentioned earlier, this kit's like Lego. You start with parts A, then B, then C, with a couple in between loose bags. But these are easily recognizable when they ask you to look for them. Right on the first page, they show you that the car can be set up in a short wheelbase, medium wheelbase, or long wheelbase. With the body that we're using, it's supposed to be set up in the short wheelbase. Now let's get to the build. Alright, so we're done the motor pod now, the rear motor pod. And it's kind of weird the way they do a couple of things here, but that's the quirkiness of Tamiya. I think most of it's due to making the molds efficient. But you've got a rod that goes inside of this cross member and a rod that goes inside of this cross member basically. extra parts. Not sure why. So I guess here was short wheelbase, medium, long. All right, the chassis is all done, the wheels are getting painted up, and while all that dries, I'm gonna start working on the body work. All right, so the body is ready to paint. We've got Tamiya's PS7 orange in a can, sitting in a pot of hot water, getting ready to use. First coat is on, gotta let that dry, then another coat. So the body I think is painted up. A couple layers of orange, actually several layers of orange, 2 layers of silver, very light coats of silver. That's been oranged and cleared. That's been blacked and semi-cleared. Got to cut it off and then do the touch-ups where I got to cut off the plastic. These are the sprays I used. A little side view mirror over here. Oh yeah, I've also got to use this clear yellow on one of the lights. So if you're not already into the hobby, I wouldn't recommend this in the beginning. Luckily, I'm already in the hobby and have all this stuff. Oh yeah, I also had to use gold leaf for the wheels. So I cut out the door handles and I'm about to stick it on. And I just noticed the door handle looks like a... I am finally wrapping up here. Just got to touch these lights and whatnot and cut out the holes that these stickers are covering up. That was a lot of work, but look at this thing. Well, let me give you some better pictures and video. All right, as you can see from the pictures, we're actually done the car this time. What was missing when I said we were done was the bumpers, fog lights or rally lights, these louvers at the back, which is really cool by the way. These louvers are hard plastic. Love the detail. I know the body posts are ugly, I gotta cut them. I will. It's so scale accurate. The car itself is rear engined, rear wheel drive. And look at that, rear motor, rear wheel drive. Super cool. Took me a while to build this to get it done. I wouldn't recommend this as your first or second kit, maybe even your third. Not because of the car, but because of the body. The body took a lot of work, a lot of paint, a lot of patience. Luckily, this is my hobby, so I had a lot of those things and some experience. The chassis, though, took me about 2 hours to build, and then approximately 2 hours to paint, including dry time. I rushed it. I didn't do too many coats, maybe 6 or 7 coats, and then I blasted some silver underneath. I shoe glued the light buckets instead of using the 2-way tape they ask you to use. The reason I did that was I wanted 100% seal. I don't want any dust getting inside these lenses. And it took me about 2 to 3 hours to cut out stickers and apply them all to the body. The only thing left for me to do is put one of these drivers into the car so that the car has a driver. If you've never built a Tamiya before, this will be really quirky and strange to you, but if you have, you'll see that possibly you'll notice a lot of parts are transferable to their other mini chassis. Did you just hear me say utter?
Yeah. I did.
A really nice thing about this, and I'm only comparing this to a base entry level TT02 because that's another inexpensive option from Tamiya. This comes with metal drivetrain, adjustable links everywhere. Something real noticeable, these rear tires are really, really sticky. I think they're S-grip. The fronts are sticky as well, but not as sticky as the rear. But the rear is almost like jelly. It's incredible. I can't wait to try these out. There's one thing I didn't do that I said I would do. I said I was going to put oil dampened shock absorbers on here, but I didn't do that. I left the stock stuff on here, which has no shock absorption, because I kind of want to see how this bouncy ride drives. If you haven't already noticed, this isn't a comprehensive build guide. If you want one of those, there are a lot of channels that do that. For now, let's go play with it. Let's go This thing drives really nice. Tamiya and their team over there of people have chosen the right set of springs and the right set of tires to achieve quite a balance. It's rear-wheel drive, and I would have expected a lot less grip with the rear. I mean, I guess the tires really make up for that. It's not really slow either. I mean, fast enough for what it is. Let's take it to the carpet track.